it's your girl Sheryl Lynn, and you're watching Sweep the League on Alamo City Podcast Network.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League.
Yo, what is up? We're back after a nice long week away, vacation and other stuff. As you can tell, I have a little injury too, so that's another reason why we were kind of off. Gio's probably gonna make fun of me on that here. It is Sweep the League. It is Rudy Campos Jr., Coach Gio. We're hoping to be joined by Derek Gervin here in just a little bit. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we do have the coach himself. We got a lot to get into, man. We got so much NFL talk. It's probably going to be an NFL type show. Let's bring in the coach himself here, Coach Gio. Gio, man, we're finally back after a little break. Tim Gonzalez is definitely joining the stream as he always is. Your Blue Devils. I mean, I would talk a lot of shit about NC State, but something kind of happened along the way.
Didn't you guys lose too?
Yeah, we did. So that's why I can't really talk much shit about it.
I mean, wait, but you say you got hurt. What happened?
Let's just say that Rudy versus my backyard fence. Fence 1, Rudy 0. We're gonna just leave it at that. I mean, there's really no other reason to get into anything other than that itself. But yeah,
I'll leave you alone for today.
No, you're fine. I mean, I'm okay. It hurts really bad, but
wait, did you go to the hospital?
No, I didn't. Concussion that's up in the air. We'll say that's up in the air, whether I had a concussion or not. If I had one, I probably wouldn't have known if I had one. But I'll just say we'll leave it at that. Definitely. Hey man, it is Sweep the League. It's Coach Gio. It's Rudy Campos Jr. All part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. Man. We were off a week. I mean, it was spring break. A lot of it was planned. A lot of it wasn't. Towards the end of the week, it wasn't planned. We were supposed to be back on, but I had some stuff going on. So we missed out on the entire NFL offseason that happened, man. We even missed your Aaron Donald retiring. I'm going to give you a few minutes here, Gio, to talk about Aaron Donald because your Rams, where I figured, okay, they're gonna be, you know, I guess back in the playoffs. Is that Aaron Donald loss gonna hurt that much for the Rams? I mean, defensively, yeah, but can we say that Aaron Donald wasn't as dominant as he has been his entire career lately?
Already, he was a first-team All-Pro. I don't understand.
I know, but I mean, he was on the back end of it. So how much are you going to lose?
How many guys you say are the back end and their first team all pro? I mean, I don't know how many guys, because listen, first team all pro, it's probably one of the harder things to be a part of. Not like the NBA All-Star game where, you know.
Don't be comparing that to NBA.
No, I'm just saying like it's hard to be an all pro. And sure, it wasn't his, I don't know, 15, 20 sacks. It wasn't your quote-unquote numbers, but really, he's getting triple team most of the time, right? Like, he's getting double, triple team, all that stuff. But nonetheless, I still think the Rams have still a good shot. I mean, obviously, replacing the all-time great is going to be very difficult. But nonetheless, the Rams have known about this for a bit. And also, it was reported by a Rams guy, YouTuber, Jake. I forgot his last name, but apparently he knew. He didn't want to report it. But, yeah, Aaron Donald has retired for now. I guess we'll see, Rudy, what's going to happen before the season. But we've known about this the last few years, Rudy. Like, he's flirted with the chance of retirement. He got that big contract that probably shut him up. But
you know what I heard, and it was on Sirius NFL Talk, and I can't remember which show. But they didn't say he wasn't. I'm just going to throw it out there. They didn't say he wasn't. But they asked a question that, I'm sorry, I don't use the word stupid or dumb very often, but it was a very stupid question. And that was, do you think Aaron Donald is a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yeah. I damn near spit out my coffee driving to work. I mean, how Aaron Donald is one of the few guys where you say when he's Hall of Fame bound in 5 years, he's in the Hall of Fame. There's no, do you think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer? The guy is in regardless. I'd put him in tomorrow.
No, he's a first ballot, and I mean it's pretty shocking to have anything else not have. People talk about it. Now, is he the greatest defensive player of all time? Look,
no.
It's very difficult. There's so many other great guys, and of course, LT comes to mind.
Lawrence Taylor, yes.
The league MVP. It was a different NFL back then than it is now, but nonetheless, I still respect guys who played there. But Aaron Donald has put himself in an argument to at least be in that top 5, top 7, whatever you want to put him at. But 8-time first-team All-Pro. He's a member of the All-Decade Team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Could have probably won a few more. But, hey, he's a first ballot. Is he the greatest defensive lineman of all time? I mean, he's definitely in that conversation.
Reggie White is ahead of him. Off the top of my head, Reggie White is probably ahead of him.
Sure. I'm not going to argue with Reggie White. I mean, if you want to say it's Reggie, you want to say it's LT, though LT played outside linebacker. If you want to say Bruce Smith, right? There's so many guys. But for him to even be mentioned in that breath, I mean, just speaks to his hard work and the years he put in. I mean, go look at his pro football numbers. I mean, it's pretty crazy, his grading for the last decade. I mean, in the 90s.
Aaron Donald. Okay, so let's go through some players. I say he's not better than Reggie White. I say that. And you know what? I won't put him above Lawrence Taylor either. I think those two guys are there. Can you make a case for him being better than Bruce Smith? I would say there's a good possibility. You could probably make that.
Well, Bruce, I mean, again, those pass rushers in that time, but remember, they're pass rushers, right? Aaron's your defensive tackle, right? So so he plays inside on that kind of 3-4 defense where I guess you could be outside defensive end, you could be shade, you could be inside. I mean, it's a number of different positions, but Bruce Smith, yeah, I mean, it's real possible. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's the sacks for Bruce. Obviously, he played more of a conventional set, but I mean, if there's so many also other guys who John Randall was a beast in his day with the Vikings. I mean, there's a number of defensive tackles that
I was going to bring up John Randall. So where does he rank against John Randall?
I'll put Aaron over John. Listen, in his heyday, tremendous. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was I believe, really an undrafted player for the Minnesota Vikings, undersized, but a dog to really set. But Reggie White, I mean, the Minister of Defense, 2 teams. He was also first team All-Pro, 8 times. I mean, Pro Bowls. He's gonna have a lot. The thing about Aaron is really he's done, right? Like 10 years. Reggie played out, I think, much longer than that. So, but in that 10-year run, it's a pretty remarkable feat what he did. He also got a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. Reggie White also has 1 Super Bowl. LT has 2. Bruce Smith has 0 with the Bills, right, Rudy?
0 with the Bills, but we can't discredit the 4 in a row. I mean, I know. Like I know people say, well, Buffalo's the all-time loser in NFL history because they went, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But you still got to remember, there's no team that's going to probably go, maybe the Chiefs, that's going to go to 4 Super Bowls like that. I mean, it's so damn hard, especially you and I have talked many times. The AFC, the NFL back in the day, even the AFC, it was pretty rough. It was still pretty rough. I mean, they had some really bad luck in these Super Bowls, with Scott Norwood. Then, of course, the Oilers fumbling, that whole thing. So, I mean, they had some luck on their side in some cases.
No. I mean, look, to get to 4 Super Bowls, regardless of the competition in the AFC at that time, is still an amazing feat. But I mean, Reggie's stats are pretty. It's hard. I'm not gonna disagree with you. I mean, I think Reggie was a hell of a player, and they all bring some differences to the game. But for Aaron to even be mentioned in the breath of some of those greats with even Deion Sanders. I mean, Deion, one of the best cover corner and primetime, all that stuff. But the best defensive player of all time. I as much as I love Aaron, I'll probably keep LT number 1. Also, this really, I think what separates him is he won league MVP as a defensive player. That to me, now granted, it wasn't a time, it was an era which things were different, and you know the opportunity for someone else to win on the defensive side did happen, and the game has changed. Really, most of the rules are all for offense, right? Like you can't even touch a quarterback nowadays. So the rule has changed. The physicalness has tampered down a bit, but nonetheless, for LT to win a league MVP is impressive. And listen, I'm a huge Aaron, obviously lover. I love the Rams, and Aaron is definitely in my top 5 all time. Whether he's number 1 doesn't really matter. But
who is your top 5? I'm curious.
I think it's so that those first 2 guys, really, I'm thinking it's close. LT, Reggie White. I mean, I think Reggie had like 121 sacks or like an 120 something game. I mean, it is just a ridiculous stat line, right? And he also with the Eagles and with the Packers right down the road there. LT and Reggie are probably my 2 there, Rudy, just because of that and the significance. I'm gonna put Aaron Donald. I'm gonna put him at number 4. Number 3, I'll give it to primetime. Deion number 3, Rudy. And after that, look, you got Ray Lewis there. Bruce Smith. Some of those guys, it kind of
Deacon Jones, Dick Butkus. I mean, I get what I like what you're saying, because honestly, I would put Aaron 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm putting
4?
him in that 4. But if someone wants to say, no, Drew, you're wrong, Aaron's number 1, hey, I'm not going to fight you, and I'm not going to fight you and discredit LT and what he did. I mean, really, that man, go look at.
Yeah. Well, no, you and I agree. LT and Reggie White is 1, 2. You can reverse them. You can do whatever.
I mean, you can reverse them, and that's a gimme there. But Aaron's, his stats, his career, his, those pictures, really, of him being triple teamed and double teamed are going to live forever on Twitter or on X or whatever you call it. But yeah, looks, man, a phenomenal career, Rudy. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He did everything you wanted, but I'd love to see him maybe 2 or 3 more years, rank up those all pros and maybe win another defensive player of the year. Would have been phenomenal for his, but it's not going to move the needle for me. Hey, he's a top 5 all-time great. And like I said earlier, if you want to say that Donald's better than LT, or if Donald's not in the top 5, or someone should put Deion over. Hey, I have no. This isn't a day where I'm trashing the '90s like that hashtag. We done with the '90s already. Have you seen that?
I have not. What is that about?
So it's a hashtag of people on TikTok just talking about players from the '90s, saying they were bums. Jordan had no left. They're dribbling with one hand. It's just a ton of things about we done with the '90s.
Those people talking about Jordan doesn't have a left. LeBron doesn't have a left. LeBron can't go left.
And
you want to make him struggle, make him go left.
Well, listen, this is a different. Look, we see this more with the NBA. Really, we don't see this with baseball. Like, people aren't trashing Pete Rose. Well, besides the gambling, but people aren't talking about Ted Williams and this and that, and we see this a lot more with the NBA. This also doesn't happen with the NFL. We're not trashing LT. We're not saying we're done with the 80s because teams mostly ran the ball. Like, we're not doing this. Something with the 90s, and to me, it stems from the LeBron James people trying to make an argument about Jordan's competition and all this and that. And look, there's an interview with Wilt Chamberlain saying, if I played basketball in the 90s, I would score 60. Every generation does that. Like, it's just one of those things where if the players coming out think they're better than the people from before, okay, whatever. But this whole we done with the 90s, why? Like, why do we keep talking about? And it's these LeBron people. Sorry, LeBron, which I have a ton of respect for LeBron. He's a really good player, whatever, top 2, whatever. But his fans are what probably annoys people the most, Rudy. It's those freaking fans. Those
like,
damn
I'm not a
LeBron
fan.
lovers. What do they nickname them? There's like
bronze sexuals.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Bronze sexuals.
LeBron sexuals. It's just ridiculous.
That's what that is. I get, you know what? I love what you're saying about it because I can go on a little rant here. Let me get to some of these comments, man. JCEO, it's still spring break. 24, it's still spring break. Christopher Leha, hey, man, appreciate your support. What's good, fellas? The free agent window has been fun. We're going to get into all the free agent talk here in a minute. Tim's wanting to know about the Bears move with the Justin Fields. He wants your opinion on it. We're going to get to that as well. Mario Cavas is in here. In the senior college football practices, Aaron Donald and Zach Martin were battling each other hard. Yeah, they really were, man. They were battling very, very hard. But, you know, shout out to Aaron Donald, man. I mean, definitely one of the greatest defensive players and honestly one of the greatest NFL players just in general to play the game. But going back to your thing about LeBron, man, is it, you know, Gio, it's kind of gotten old to me. I don't know if it's gotten old for you because you and I follow so closely on sports and we talk about sports all the time. It's at the point of my life where I don't give a shit about GOAT talk anymore. Yeah. I just enjoy the game. You know what? Jordan dominated. He dominated in his era. LeBron dominated in his era. I don't give a damn about rings. I don't give a damn about MVPs. I don't give a shit anymore about anything. To me, all this debate and all this GOAT talk ruins the freaking flavor of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Who gives a damn about who the GOAT is?
It's come down to, sure, I have my opinions. I think MJ is the GOAT, but I'm not here posting it up and discrediting. Look, and we talk about today's players, right? Sure, we're not the biggest fans of how the game has played out and some of the decisions the league has made.
Yeah.
But listen, there's still talented players, and like I'm not freaking stupid. Like, it's just day after day, we're done with the 90s. We're done with the 80s. It's like, dude, you don't have to discredit an era just to make an argument for what LeBron or what some of the other players, hey, what they're doing today is fantastic. Hey, it's good for their numbers. They're jacking up threes left and right? Jacking up shots. But, hey, they're also making them as well. So, yeah, this whole – I'm sick and tired of this GOAT debate. Look, for all you LeBron sexually listening, Jordan's a GOAT. End of discussion. LeBron has number 2. Hey, that's still really freaking good. I'm giving him the second greatest player of all time. But MJ's a GOAT. No discussion. If you want to have a debate on that, but nonetheless, I'm just sick and tired of just talking about this. Who cares, man? Like, just get over it.
After I just said I don't really care about the GOAT anymore, the GOAT debate, you come out here and say,
no, but I just want
Jordan, man.
I'm just gonna set the stage. Look, Jordan is a GOAT. LeBron's a hell of a player. Listen, he's a stat machine, Rudy. You know that the guy can put 20 points in his sleep. Yeah. But also, no one's playing any defense nowadays, and it is what it is. Look, he's the all-time leading scorer. It happened. And stop having this GOAT debate. Who cares, man? Jeez. I don't care anymore.
Chris is about to dick punch you right now. He says that you're funny because Timothy Theodore Duncan is the GOAT, period.
Hey, look, I think the greatest power forward is Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan needs to be mentioned more as the top 5 or one of the top 5 greatest players of all time, depending on how you do that. But
I agree.
You want to talk about a perfect career? Tim Duncan was pretty close to it.
How do you discredit this? And this is something along the GOATs talk. You know, if you really want to get into GOAT talk, how do you discredit Tim Duncan? Because the guy never had a losing season, ever. And if not for a Ray Allen shot, the guy would have the absolute perfect career, Gio. As far as team goes, never missed the playoffs, perfect in the NBA Finals. Like that is freaking amazing if you consider that.
Well, I think a hell of a team. I don't love the. Listen, he was part of a team that unfortunately lost in the first round as the number 1 seed. Not the greatest. I will say though, that Memphis team, there were a bunch of dogs on that team, Rudy. There were a bunch of dogs on there. Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol. There were dogs, but nonetheless, you talk about a career from top to finish, where, like you said, I mean, they won 50 games, just astounding.
20+ year playoff. I mean the run, and
the run was just amazing.
That's what people, when they say Wemby's, could Wemby be the GOAT for the Spurs? Can he be the greatest of all time? You know what? It's gonna make it. It says one thing about it. If Wemby can go on a 20+ year playoff streak, then he's in the discussion. But until then, I can't ever discredit what Timmy did for the Spurs. I mean, you will rarely see that kind of playoff streak in basketball. I mean, it's so difficult.
Well, Rudy, we talk about some other teams who had that streak. Like the Lakers had it, in the 80s and 90s, and you look at the Utah Jazz had it for a while too, right? But Rudy, it's just players don't stick around with their teams for long, right? You're not going to see guys like this. I think you're going to see less and less players team up nowadays. I mean, look, Damian Lillard left Portland, right? He was up there for so many years and decides to leave. I mean, what Duncan did in different eras, Rudy, right? Different styles of play, right? He comes in, right? He has David Robinson there. It's more of a, inside out type of thing. You give the ball to Duncan, right? Spacing. And then as he gets older, right? Or Tony Parker comes along, right? A little bit of a different, really pick and pop and really just change the Spurs. He was around for so many Spurs eras. It's just great. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I mean, Timmy's Tim, but Tim's quiet, right? So he's always going to kind of be
popular.
No. And especially some of those jeans he was wearing back then.
Hey, bro, don't diss those jeans, man.
Hey, you know what, Rudy? I had some of those jeans too, but back then, though,
They were Jabot. I think Jabot jeans is what it was.
Yeah, well, but you know what though? Timmy with the dreads now, he's definitely have a different spice to him. A little bit of a different spice to the guy.
I get it. Well, like I said, the GOAT conversation it's tough in any sport. It's tough to have the GOAT conversation. I mean, you always figure in eras and all this stuff, but I get tired of the GOAT conversation because at the end of the day, Gio, nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. Who cares about it? Because your GOAT is going to be different from my GOAT, from this person's GOAT. I mean, you have people out there that say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player of all time in basketball. And you know what? I cannot discredit that. I cannot say, you know what? You're wrong. Because in some instances, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should be the GOAT, should be consideration for being the GOAT of the NBA. I mean, it's so tough. And then you come, well, let's go to NFL. Tom Brady's the greatest of all time at quarterback. I can say on a winning level, sure, but I'll make a case for Dan Marino, like we've talked about before. Yeah, he's never won a Super Bowl, but if you want to talk greatest quarterbacks, I mean,
there's so many different. You could say who's the greatest thrower of the football, right? Like Tom probably doesn't come to mind, right? Really, like as one of the greatest throwers of the football.
Tom's the greatest winner.
One of the greatest winner, and when you want to put everything together, as the greatest QB. Sure, I could definitely see Tom in there. I think there's other factors and ways you can phrase questions to really bring up other guys.
Yeah.
But greatest cornerback, we talk about Deion Sanders, but you also have Darrelle Revis. You also have other guys. Look, this is why we have these conversations and debates to put your opinion out there. But like you said, Rudy, no one's right or wrong. Though MJ is a GOAT, but
You're just pissing people off.
No, I know.
You're gonna get canceled pretty quick here. This is Sweep the League. It's Rudy Campos Jr. It is Coach Gio. We're back after a nice little hiatus. We got a lot of NFL talk to get into. We're talking about the GOAT status here. Aaron Donald. I mean, he is retired. He is heading off into the sunset. Does have a Super Bowl win. Where does he land in your all-time defensive players? One guy that we cannot fail to mention, Gio, is we've set him in the NBA with Drazen Petrovic. Just didn't have enough time in the game, obviously, from his passing. But another guy to remember in the NFL rankings is who I would have thought would have been probably one, if not the greatest defensive players in the NFL. And that was Derek Thomas at the time. I mean, Derek Thomas, if you want to talk Lawrence Taylor hybrid, I mean, Derek Thomas would have probably broken a lot of Lawrence Taylor's records.
Well, I mean, he has over 200 sacks, right?
Yes.
I believe Derek Thomas is another guy that clearly in his prime was a beast off the edge.
Yes.
Over 200 sacks. He's definitely. I mean, I forgot about him just because obviously, he left us very early. And when people leave early, sometimes really, you tend to forget, right? Because their name, like even of Reggie White, right? You think he passed away in 2004 or 5 or something like that. Like you kind of forget about these guys. But he was a beast, and unfortunately wasn't able to, have a ton of playoff success with the Chiefs. But it wasn't because of him.
No.
You also have Haley from the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Sure.
Already, he's won 5 Super Bowls.
Charles
Charles is a little bit of a kind of a nutcase in his own right, but nonetheless, hey, he got 5 Super Bowls and was the driving force of most of all those Super Bowls. So yeah, there's so many guys that we can talk about on an episode that say, hey, but really to have over 200 sacks
in such a short time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where a lot of people fail to remember Derek Thomas. I mean, Derek Thomas, like I said, he probably would have been the greatest defensive player of all time. I mean, a hybrid Lawrence Taylor. Wow. I don't think you'll ever see a player of Derek Thomas's caliber again, man.
I think Bruce is the one that has 200 sacks. If I always get confused with him and Thomas, but nonetheless, over 126 sacks in his career. I think Rudy's Bruce Smith's the one that has 200, just to get corrected.
Yeah,
I don't think that will ever be broken.
Probably not. Probably not.
By the way,
I don't think so at all. We got a lot more. You got something else?
No, I was gonna mention something. I mean, there's so many great guys. Cortez Kennedy from the Seahawks back in the day, a big beast in the middle. There's so many defensive guys, man.
Oh yeah, there's way too many to go over, man. But yeah, Aaron Donald is probably ranking. I have him at number 4 behind Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Dion. I think I have him ahead of Aaron Donald, but it's more like 4A and 4B because it's kind of tough for me to take between him and Ray Lewis. I think both guys deserve to be that 4 spot, but I would give Aaron the nod over Ray Lewis. Just a dominating force. That's just me. That's just my opinion. That's why we talk sports here, Sweep the League. But we got a lot of NFL free agency coming up, man. Winners and losers, Gio. Now, we can all point to one team that's a loser, and that is the one with the star in the helmet. That is about 3.5-4 hours away from San Antonio. Up north, that is the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into all this NFL talk here in just a little bit here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to go into NFL talk with all you guys out there wondering who is Gio's winner and who is Gio's losers. We'll find out here in just a little bit. See if it continues.
Locked on Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked on Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at JeffG10s5SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at JeffGSpursZone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, definitely want to go out there, follow Jeff Garcia on Twitter or X, with whatever they call it these days. X out there, great follow. We're actually going to try to have Jeff on tomorrow. See if we can schedule that in to get some Spurs talk in tomorrow. But this is Coach Gio, Rudy Campos Jr. Sweep the League. We are back. Beachies is what I put on there because we are back after a nice little hiatus that we had there. So NFL, man. NFL talk. I'm going to bring up the list here because I had to pull it up and I'm like, I got to find something to go through it. So let's get into some NFL free agency tracking, Gio. So we're going to start at the top, man. Biggest winners for you. I mean, for me, it's easy. It's, the Texans. But for you, give me your biggest NFL free agent winners. I'll bring up the team so we can get out there. But who are your biggest free agent winners right now in the NFL?
I already just said the Texans. I mean, to get Danielle Hunter there, defensive end. This defense was already pretty good last year. You get him coming in, pairing him with Will Anderson. I thought that was huge for the Texans. The biggest winner is so many kind of teams kind of muddled in. I thought the Vikings did pretty good. Get some more defensive guys there. They signed the outside linebacker from the Dolphins. What is it, Van Ginkel or something like that?
Yeah.
And they also got Jonathan Greenyard as well. So those two guys on the outside, the Vikings really they're going to the quarterback for a draft, right? So,
well, they also made that trade to get 23? So they have 11 and 23 in the draft.
Exactly. Sam Darnold's just a bridge. I love the Aaron Jones signing, though. It's like, is he going there just because he wants revenge, or does he really, really think he has, an opportunity to really see? We'll see what happens. They may also draft a running back as well, but the Vikings, the defense needs to definitely improve because they've been had the last few years, especially since Zimmer has left as the head coach. But the Texans, I mean, really, I like what they did. Continue to shore up that defense, and Schultz is going to be coming back. I mean, I love all these additions as well. It's just Joe Mixon, Rudy. I mean,
yeah,
you got a guy in there who's a bona fide. Look, I'm not saying Joe's going to have a all-time year, but look, he's been very productive in his career. And look, I love that combination. And what they get Jeff Okudah as well.
Okay, so that's where it separates me from everybody else. Are those three signings that I liked, which was the Lonnie Johnson signing at corner, the Desmond King re-signing, and then the Okudah signing. Those three guys to go along with, I know they signed Mike Ford, but those three guys for me can solidify that secondary for the Texans if DeMeco Ryans gets this ship right for these guys. I really love this. I mean, we even failed to mention the Danico Autry signing. I mean, the Texans defense, good God, Gio.
It was already, it was already good last year. You had all these guys coming in, Mixon, you bring back Noah Brown as well. And obviously, you still have the draft, Rudy. You still got the draft there where they can get more offensive weapons. We love the receivers coming out this year in the draft. So the Texans, I thought the Vikings, there's so many teams that really look. I thought your Falcons, hey, they got a quarterback in there that
let's go to the Falcons here.
We can agree isn't the most.
He's not the sexy
QB,
guy,
and he doesn't dress particularly interesting at all. His wife actually dresses him. I learned that from that Netflix doc.
Or whatever it is, yeah.
But anyway, really, you got a guy, Rudy, who is, if he's right with that Achilles, he's coming in, and I love the Darnell Mooney signing.
Gives him a nice deep threat. The Rondale Moore trade.
That's a good one, Rudy. A speedster, a speed good guy coming in, and it just makes a whole lot of sense on that offense. Mm-hmm. You already got London there. You got the tight end, Rudy. You have the running back. Look, I told you on Twitter, if Kurt's healthy, ready to go, there's honestly, I think you're better than Tampa. You're way better than Carolina. And the Saints, I'm not sure what they're doing down there anyway. So
the Saints are tough. They're a big old question mark. I still think they can make some kind of moves to help them out. But
money. But
yeah, I mean that money part's a problem. The thing with the South is that the Rondale Moore and the Mooney signing were big. Of course, Kirk Cousins, you needed a quarterback, so that's a huge signing there. This is where I love it because now they can go out and just concentrate on the defense when it comes to the draft. I fully expect them to go Dallas Turner, possibly Jared Verse, possibly even Latu from UCLA. All three of those guys make sense for the Falcons. I think if they could possibly trade down in the first round, they can still get one of these guys. I mean, even if you need a shutdown, corner, you can still get one. I mean, the Falcons are in prime position after these signings. And I really like what they're doing. Are they Super Bowl bound? Hell no, they're not Super Bowl bound. I'm not a Dallas Cowboy, fandom person where every little signing, which they've only had 3 signings so far, the Cowboys, makes them Super Bowl contenders. But I think they're actually NFC South division winners this year. I don't know how far they would get in the postseason, but I do give them the NFC South crown, as that's kind of safe to say. Because even with Tampa Bay, with Baker coming back, Mike Evans coming back, Tampa Bay reloaded a little bit there. I mean, they ended up re-signing Levante David. But outside of that, I didn't see a whole lot from Tampa Bay that it makes me feel like they're going to be the best team in the South.
Do they think they're just simply saying, "Hey, we're going to ride again with that defense"? And I think the defense has always been pretty. They're blitzing defense. They're going to blitz a lot. They're going to play physical. Baker, he's going to have to take that next step, Rudy. And I think that's what they're looking at. And I think, they're pretty solid across the board. Obviously, you bring Mike Evans back. That was a big Levante David's. But they did lose Carlton Davis, who actually went to the Lions. I love that for the Lions, Rudy. They've had some issues in the secondary there. So the Lions... they lose Carlton Davis or Carlton Davis heads to Detroit.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday, I believe, or something like that. So I like what the Lions are doing, trying to shake up that defense and add a lot of guys in the secondary. They did lose Gardner went to the Eagles, right? I think he went back to the Eagles. Yeah. So the Lions trying to fix up that defense. But Rudy, it sounds like the Chicago Bears decided to go with my advice over your advice.
I would say so, man. So they ended up trading away, and we're going to get into that right now. They ended up trading away Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. Now, I had a feeling that they would probably do it because it was 50-50, obviously. But, Gio, when I got the text message saying, Justin Fields is on the move, and it's going to be for a 7th-round pick, or is it 6 or 7? I can't remember what it was. But it could be a 4th. I literally almost threw my phone on the ground because if you're going to get that for Justin Fields, you may as well keep him and just draft Caleb. And that way you have 2 guys there. You can eventually just get rid of one of them. But it makes sense to just draft Caleb and keep Justin.
But Rudy, they also signed Brett Rippon.
I get what's Brett Rippon. Come on, man.
Also, by the way, Brett Rippon also started a game for the Rams last year in Green Bay. Please don't tell me why we did that. But anyway, Rudy, you're probably right on that, but I don't think Justin Fields' attitude probably would have blended well with Caleb. I don't know. It just, of course, they're going to be professionals, but I'm just not sure if that would have turned out. Also, Justin also unfollowed the Bears, so his excuse was he doesn't want to see football all year long, I guess in the summer. But nonetheless, Rudy, DeAndre Swift, Keaton Allen, Dante Pettis, they got Coleman Shelton from the Rams. The Rams decided to sign the kid from the Lions, and we're going to move Avila, who was one of the best guards, to his natural position at center. He's gone. Mm-hmm. But Gerald Everett, I love the Gerald Everett signing. They resigned Jalen Johnson as well. Kevin Byrd, hey, I know it didn't work out with the Eagles when they traded for him. But Rudy, this Bears team,
it's not
crazy.
Bad.
It's not a bad team. It's not a bad team.
But it's not a rookie quarterback like ready team. I don't know if Caleb makes that kind of jump with this team. He's got more. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got Cole Kmet. I mean, he's got the weapons. DeAndre Swift is a massive weapon for this team. I think he's gonna really rock it in Chicago. But if Caleb doesn't work out, what do you do? All this talent. I mean,
Rudy, stop the negative vibes. It's gonna work out, Rudy.
If it doesn't, I mean, the chance. Okay.
Well, if it doesn't,
Gio,
someone's getting fired.
Okay,
I mean, clearly.
Let's put it like this: you draft Caleb, forget Caleb. Okay, how many times has a rookie quarterback come in and it's just been perfect and it just works out? I mean, CJ Stroud is the most recent, but outside of that, a rookie quarterback coming into the league being successful is rare. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah.
So you're expecting Caleb Williams to come in with a pretty elite offense that he has built around him and make some noise. So if Caleb struggles, what do you do?
Which he will. Look, he's a rookie quarterback coming into a situation where there are a lot of new guys, Rudy. This offense, obviously you still have more. You still have, I think, Cole Kmet's still there. Like, you're going to have some holdovers, but this is a lot of new different parts. They have a new offensive coordinator and Shane Waldron coming over from Seattle, who did some pretty good, decent work with Geno Smith up there. So I think he's going to struggle, but can they hold the fort enough? Can he not make as much mistakes? You know how I feel about defensive head coaches. I'm not the biggest fan of them. And you have Matt Eberflus or Eberflus, whatever you want to call him, running the show there. I don't love it, but at least listen, Keaton Allen's a dog. He had his best year last year. He wasn't going to take less money, so that's why they shipped him off. I'm not sure why other teams didn't try to get Keaton Allen for a fourth. That's kind of a little bit of a steal. Now, he is older and he's getting in the twilight, but that man could just get open. But he's not the most gifted. He's not the most athletic receiver. He just gets open.
Yeah, but think about it. He had Justin Herbert throwing the hit.
No. I completely agree, Rudy. I'm so interested to see. This is one of the most interesting teams. We'll probably agree heading into next season because I know you're going to be getting that tweet ready to go when Caleb throws 3 picks in one game. Come get your boy, Gio. Look, this is going to be interesting. I can't wait.
I promise.
I'm probably the Rams are at Chicago next year. I'll probably be in Chicago watching that game. Don't know what day it is because if it's going to be in December, I don't know if I want to go. But they're going to be there. I'm going to watch Caleb up close and personal. So I just can't wait for this team because that city, they need a quarterback. They're dying for a freaking quarterback.
Mm.
The White Sox are trash. The Cubs or whatever. The Cubs are the Cubs, and the Bulls they're okay, whatever. But yeah, so
I'm gonna
come on, Bears, get it right.
I'm gonna ask you this. So, hypothetically speaking, is there any possibility that the Bears trade out of one still?
Yes. I still think there's a possibility because there's other quarterbacks, and we've talked about. Yeah. Now, listen, McCarthy, Rudy. Listen, this guy. Yeah,
I don't know where anyone is getting off of this thing. But go ahead.
I was listening to Colin Cowherd and Brett. I think it's Brett Heward from Seattle. I think that was his. Oh, Brock Heward. He covers the Seahawks, and Rudy, they're enamored. They are enamored with him. He talks, eats, sleep football. And I'm starting to think, are we missing something, Rudy? Are we missing something? Are we missing something? Because I keep every day as a video or something posted. And I'm like, man, dude, like, am I just not understanding this guy once threw like 10 passes in a game. It's just, I don't know what I'm missing. I'm trying to like him. And I'm going to live by my motto. It depends where you go, especially at quarterback. Where are you going? What's the system? What's the opportunity? But Rudy, this man has been rising rising, just like that Creed song. Can you take me higher? That dude's been rising up. He might be a number 3 pick, Rudy.
I've heard the same things coming out for JJ, and honestly, Gio, I don't see it. I don't understand it. One analyst even told me, he said, "Well, you've got to remember, he's really the only quarterback that was in a pro style system at Michigan." And I'm like, and what does that mean? I mean, so you had a professional head coach in Harbaugh, and they were running a pro style offense. You mean to tell me just because of that, it's going to translate to the NFL? He doesn't have Harbaugh. I mean, he's in a whole new system and a whole new coach. And then to come back, I asked the question back. What in the hell do you consider a pro NFL pro system? Because so many coaches run different schemes. So many coaches run different offenses. You mean to tell me wherever he goes, they're going to pick up the Harbaugh system?
Well, look, I mean, pro style is pretty generic. A lot of times it means the quarterback's under the center, right? Like a lot of quarterbacks in college are not. Brady, I'm on the lines with you, and we don't always agree on everything, but I'm trying to really see what. And I was watching some game tape earlier today on McCarthy. I had it on my TV, and I'm just watching. I said, okay, I mean he could play. I'm not saying he can't, but is he a franchise quarterback? Okay, if you put him in Washington with Kingsbury, maybe, or Cliff, maybe it works out there what they're doing in Washington. I don't know. I just don't know, and I'm just gonna say this: I don't know. If I keep seeing it, I don't know anymore. It's just he's just been the darling of the draft.
It's the same thing with Caleb Williams, man. And I'm not dogging Caleb. No, I'm not dogging Caleb. But what I'm saying is that it's the same thing. It's the media narrative. It's the narrative that they put in your head. This guy's this. This guy's this. This guy's this. You know what, Gio? If you and I worked for ESPN and you had an agent come up to us and say, you know what, bro, here's $50K. Can you talk my boy up? You going to turn down money?
That's the thing. I don't. Caleb, hey, at least Caleb has production, right? At least he has the Heisman, Rudy, and he's had some good stats. When you look at this guy, it's like, oh, well, it's like meat and potatoes. And hey, Rudy, for all we know, in 4 years, he's an MVP candidate, and someone's going to take some of our clips and say, look, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And it happens more often than not. It happens more often than not. But with JJ McCarthy, I mean, again, people that I've talked to have said that he's going to be, he's like the perfect quarterback, like Kirk Cousins. He's going to be able to guide you. And I'm like, well, what the fuck has Kirk won? Like, he hasn't really won anything. So if
I'll say this, though, Rudy.
Cousins, I mean,
Kirk Cousins, Rudy, that man has made a lot of money for one playoff win. I'll give Kirk that. He's been able to cheat the system, Rudy. Don't hate the play, hate the game. That man has been – the amount of money, Rudy, that he has had in his career is pretty astounding for a guy. No offense. And I get Matthew Stafford didn't win a whole lot in Detroit either. But Matthew Stafford didn't have – sure, he had Calvin for a bit, but that was it. Like, man, like Kurtz –
You mean to tell me Brandon Pettigrew wasn't, worthy of a Matthew Stafford love or anything like that?
Man, the love – but – hey, if Kurt's right, Rudy, I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm not saying all this stuff. I'm just saying this. I do feel like they have the team in place. Raheem Morris coaching the defense. You do have some new coaches on offense. You got Zach Robinson from the Rams. It's going to be interesting stealing all our damn coaches. But yes, Tim Gonzalez-Wilson to the Steelers.
We got to get into that talk here. So
Steelers country, let's ride.
So yes, let's ride. So. This is something crazy, man. I mean, I'm gonna make a comment when it comes to the Steelers, and you correct me if I'm wrong. When I saw the Russell Wilson signing, I said, okay, it doesn't give me pants rigor mortis. It doesn't move the needle so much because it's Russell Wilson. You take in Seattle, okay, great. You take what he did in Denver, not so good. What Russell are you gonna get? I'm okay. Kenny Pickett behind him. Kenny's gone. They get Justin Fields in. My mind starts to go crazy because you have given Omar Khan, and the Steelers all the power in the world. Why? They've got 2 starting quarterbacks. So what happens in the NFL, Gio? A contending team sees their quarterback, a la Aaron Rodgers, go down. What do you do when you have 2 starting quarterbacks? The phone goes off the hook. The Steelers are going to get a Brinks truck of crap for one of these guys because a contender is going to panic and they're going to need a quarterback.
No, it's very possible. I mean, we see it. Someone goes down. If the Jets went down, you couldn't tell me the Jets now. I don't agree what they did with Wilson and going that route. But like you said, Rudy, if someone is down now, a team like the Rams, we signed Jimmy freaking Garoppolo. I don't even want to talk about that. But
but he's a backup. He's a good backup.
He's a decent. Yeah, he's a pretty decent backup. But yeah, like I said, I think for some of these teams, I don't know if Josh Allen goes down, right? And I don't know,
Perfect.
and you're 8-2, right? And you're
Perfect.
8-2,
Mhm.
and you're like, man, like, should we pull the plug on someone or do we go get a Joe Flacco, right? Joe Flacco's still making a living in this league. So anything's possible. Rudy, I like the Justin Fields trade, though, for Pittsburgh, but also getting Russell Wilson to say, hey, you know what? We're not 100% sold on Justin, but maybe there's a bridge guy. And Rudy, you know how this league is. You get hurt just walking on the field.
Yeah.
So at any point, Fields needs to be ready. I know you have your thoughts on Arthur Smith, but look, when he was in Tennessee, I thought he did pretty good wonders with Ryan Tannehill.
Hey, I said Arthur Smith he's a hell of a coordinator. He's just not a head coach. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I think Arthur Smith could change things with Justin Fields, and we'll see, because in this league, it's always next man up. I love the Patrick Queen signing. I thought the Ravens really. I know they signed Derrick Henry, but they got a lot of pieces disappearing from their team.
The Ravens and everybody that was screaming, oh, it's perfect. That was the perfect signing for them, but it doesn't move the needle for Baltimore.
No, because they also lost. So Queen's out, right?
Yeah, Patrick Queen, he's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's out. They also Geno Stone, Ronald Darby,
yeah,
the left guard, I think John Simpson or something like that. Gus Edwards, Gus, where did he go again, Rudy? Do you remember where he went?
I don't remember.
He went somewhere else. J.K. Dobbins is still out there, and Calvin Noy, I don't think he's coming back. Connie may not be back. A lot of guys on that team, Rudy, especially on defense, won't be back next season. Mm-hmm. They also obviously lost their defensive coordinator. I mean, you still have Roquan Smith, but I'm just saying, there are a lot of missing pieces there. And Rudy, they need to get a receiver, man. And Odell's going to be gone, right?
So Odell's gone. He's already basically said he's gone. He's not coming back to Baltimore. And reports are having that Odell might be going to the Jets. He might be going to New York.
And the Bengals, to me, I think this is a team we talked about a bit. I think they're going to be back in the fold. This is the team, and we talk about the windows, right? Sometimes the window of opportunity closes. Someone gets hurt. You have to reload. I like the Zach Moss signing.
It's a really good signing.
I do like that. T. Higgins seems a little upset that he got franchise tagged. I don't know what's going to happen there, but Cody Ford, Sheldon Rankings. I think bringing back Ford up front. Look, they're going to have something to say. And to Tim Gonzalez's point, Rudy, we didn't even mention Saquon Barkley.
We're not done talking about.
That's how bad the running back. Well, not how bad the running back market is, but how sometimes of an afterthought.
Yeah.
I'm surprised though, because Rudy, you know how Giants fans are. These people, and I grew up in New York. I was around a lot of Yankee fans. Those people are annoying, and a lot of other fan bases. To me, it's crazy that he would sign with the Eagles, but hey, it's his money. The Eagles were willing to sign him. Rudy, do you think that makes the Eagles a Super Bowl content, like a bona fide NFC Championship game contender. They signed a lot of guys, Rudy. A lot of guys.
Are you okay? Let me have you rephrase this question. Are you talking? Are the Eagles a Super Bowl contending team? Period. Or did the Saquon Barkley signing make them Super Bowl contending team?
Did the Saquon Barkley signing, specifically that one, they do have some other signings that they did.
No. I'm not. Again, this is probably one of those ones where you get bookmarked and they play it at the end. But I am not a fan of Saquon to the Eagles. I actually regressed his draft status on fantasy to late first, early second because of it. And the reason being is because what is Saquon's volume going to be? You have Jalen Hurts. Now, I heard one guy argue with me saying, well, there it is. It's goal line back. No, it's not. You have the tush push in Philly. That is a guarantee move the chain.
And from what Rudy, it hasn't been banned yet. Now, the owners do meet at the owners meeting. I think they may discuss this, but as of right now, Rudy,
it's not banned.
It's not banned.
So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, so goal line probably out of the question. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. I mean, those guys are kind of. I mean, you're going to piss off AJ Brown and these guys? Probably not. To me, the Eagles are a pass-happy team. So, what does that do for Saquon? It makes him a catch out of the backfield type of running back. Again, very explosive guy.
I'm starting. I didn't see your because you've been talking about this. Now you're really starting to make a lot of sense. Rudy doesn't often make sense with some of the other football stuff.
I don't.
But I will say I do starting because Rudy, what's one thing that they have on their team? They have a diva at wide receiver, and we know when he don't get the ball, you're gonna know
exactly
that Brown doesn't get the ball. And this is a team that also wants to throw it. Listen, they already led the league. Like they've been one of the top teams in rushing, right? Like,
yep.
Couldn't they have put someone cheaper back there, Rudy? And just, I don't know. Like, listen, Saquon's great, and it could turn out to be a really great signing. But are you going to maximize all the other? Like, are you going to maximize? Because if Swift was there, I feel like you would maximize Swift.
Yeah.
But Barkley's skill set and his name obviously is so big that.
What more do you get from Saquon that you wouldn't have gotten out of Swift? That's my question.
That's the main thing. Yeah, that's the main thing. Could they have gotten a Zach Moss? Probably.
Easily. You could have gotten a Joe Mixon, and you're still going to get the same production.
Yeah.
I mean, Saquon
can really catch. He can really catch out of the backfield.
Yeah, but Saquon to Houston makes way more sense because you need an explosive back there. I love Houston, but Saquon to Houston makes more sense to me than it does to him to Philadelphia because CJ Stroud is young. The receiving core in Houston is not elite. So you're going to have to do a lot more schemes in Houston. Where in Philly, it's Jalen Hurts. You have, like you said, Brown. I mean, Devontae Smith. You've got all these players there. Dallas Goedert is another one. I mean, you've got all these guys that you can work in the pass. Saquon's going to be more of a pass-happy running back. It's not his style, man. I mean, to me, it's not his style. He's explosive, but I don't think it doesn't do anything. So you can have gotten a cheaper running back. And honestly, I mean, $37 million, it's pretty cheap for Saquon, I think. I mean, it's relatively inexpensive for Saquon Barkley.
That's the thing is that you could have signed, and I was talking to a good friend of mine named Gerald, and he said the same thing. He's like, Gio, what was Barkley doing that Swift or someone else probably couldn't do for this team that has so many other weapons at receiver, tight end? They do have to, get a new center. They did re-sign Landon Dickerson there at guard. They did also get Matt, another offensive lineman there. But when you're looking, their defense is going to be interesting, though, Rudy. They got Devin White, a linebacker.
Gardner Johnson was huge.
Gardner Johnson was huge for a secondary that we saw what happened in that Bucks game.
Yeah.
So it's I like what they did. It's Bryce Huff, 3 years, $51 million. So they're trying to and definitely put more on their defense. Rudy, my thing is they already had a lot of guys on defense.
Yeah.
So, but Jordan Davis, he's not there yet. The other linebacker was hurt a lot of the time last year from Georgia. I forgot his name, the guy they drafted.
Nolan Smith?
No, not Nolan. The other one, something Dean, right?
Nakobe Dean.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean. He was hurt for a bit. Mm-hmm. So they got a lot of injuries back there. You're bringing up more guys. But look, I think the Eagles are going to be there again. But I felt like Saquon was a little overkill, but he's still a threat, right? He's still going to be a threat. Teams are going to have to think about him, of course. I just don't know if it moves the needle completely. We got to see what this team looks like. They also have 2 new coordinators back there. The Commanders, I like what
they did. Some really.
I like what they did there. Some people were making fun of the Austin Eckler and
I don't agree with the
old people. Though, really, you do get a guy who can receive the hell out of the backfield. You probably don't want him running a lot in between the tackles, but hey, he's a receiving threat out of the backfield. You look at the defense. They lost a bunch of guys. So,
but
Bobby
they
Wagner's
actually replaced a lot. They
I mean, they got fucking Bobby Wagner is. I believe he made an All-Pro. He's definitely getting older though, but he keeps getting these $8 to $6 million deals. They got Farrell there. Look, it hasn't worked out for him, but they got a lot of extra bodies in the offseason that they need entering a new season. I like what the Commanders did, Rudy. I want to see what they're going to do at quarterback because did you see Marcus Mariota's hair in the press conference?
I did, yeah.
Bro, that guy's aging pretty fast. Zach Ertz. So, yeah, I like what they're doing there, trying to build the team.
The Cowboys, man. Before we go, we got to get.
There's not much going on there.
So, you got to remember, man, they last rumor has the Cowboys clearing up space, which they ended up clearing up more space today. But I think they redid something on Dak's guarantee for his signing bonus. So, they cleared up about $4 million. But rumor has it that they are trying to work out a trade for Stephon Diggs to get to the Cowboys. Now, again, Gio, you've got Dak that's coming up for extension. You've got CeeDee Lamb coming up. Micah Parsons. You've got, I think, Martin is another one. You've got so many guys coming up in free agency for Dallas. Jerry Jones has just screwed himself majorly. I think he's going to have to restructure Dak 100%.
Well, there's your main guys that you have to pay, Rudy, are all max. Taking a definition from the NBA, they're all max guys, right? Micah he's a max dude, Rudy. I mean, the guy is an All-Pro, right? Mm-hmm. He's in that defensive player of the discussion. You got to pay him, and Rudy, linebackers are getting paid. Especially outside guys are getting paid a lot of money. You got obviously Dak, CD, the wide receiver market. Those are 3 players. Just those 3 there, Rudy. Mm-hmm. Want max dollars, and of course you got to pay your other guys as well. Diggs already been paid, but your offensive linemen, your other guys, really they just don't have enough money. And sure, people will say the cap is is just a myth. It is, but look.
It's there for a reason.
It is there for a reason, and they're not like the Rams who just trade draft picks, right? Like, Cowboy fans, I'm sure, are kind of not in a good mood, but they really can't do much. Like,
and that's the problem. That's kind of what I was going to get into. Was I get they're not doing anything, they just don't have the funds to do anything. I mean, you're going to try to ask Dak Prescott to restructure his contract. And
Dak doesn't want to do that. And plus his brother, I don't know if you saw, said something about the Cowboys in the offseason. Dak's brother's always talking every week. That's not a good look, Rudy. I just don't know what else you do. Don't scroll past the Giants, Rudy, your team over there.
What about them? They're my team all of a sudden?
Daniel Jones. The Giants didn't really do much. I do like the Brian Burns though signing.
The Brian Burns is big.
It's a lot of money, but hey, they need butts in the seats over there. How about the Rams, Rudy? What do you think about what the Rams did?
Rams.
I thought so far Kevin Dotson was a big, and that Jonah Jackson
deal
big.
That was massive.
It's a big dude. That's just a big guy.
I would say the Rams, I think they were pretty much already ready to go. The Aaron Donald thing took them for a loop, but I think they'll address the Aaron Donald issue in the draft. I mean, they got some good edge rushers in there, which I think they're not going to replace Aaron Donald, but I mean, you can get someone to kind of fill that void a little bit. But I like what the Rams did. They were ready to go as is.
We got the safety, and I thought an underrated signing for the Rams was the safety. Curl was one of a pretty good young safety for the Commanders. The Rams were able to get him at a discount. The little head scratcher at first was the tight end from Seattle, though apparently he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. So I said, well, hey, if you can block, go ahead. But the Rams are getting beefier up front, Riddy. They're getting that chunky soup, and they're going to be big. Kevin Dotson was a big re-sign. He was one of the best offensive guards last season.
Yeah.
Rudy, think about this. The Rams traded for Dotson. Dotson didn't start in the beginning of the year. He comes in, and he's one of the best offensive linemen last season, especially for the Rams and for the league. Jonah Jackson, Darius Williams comes back for the Rams. I don't think the Rams are done. There's still some guys out there that the Rams could potentially sign. The cornerback from the Bills, what's it? Something White?
Tre'Davious White.
He's coming to the Rams this week, so we'll see what the Rams do there.
Before we go, man, I want to ask you this. And again, this goes back to the Saquon thing. To me, if I'm the Eagles, and yes, Saquon's a name. Saquon's explosive. You know, it's funny. We haven't really seen Saquon be that Saquon, even in New York. And I get it. No offensive line there. But the one person who I thought would have made sense for Philly, and again, I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I am because I'm always right about everything. You know that, Gio. The one person who I think the Eagles could have gotten was Tony Pollard. Just a basic back, but does everything good enough for you to just, move the chain. And you could have got him really cheap, I'm sure. So Tony Pollard would have been that guy who I was targeting if I was Philadelphia.
Well, for the, good point. Back to the Cowboys, I don't know why they didn't try to get Derrick Henry. They don't have a running back entering next season. They're going to have to go to the draft
And there's no good running backs in the draft.
I mean, J.K. Dobbins coming off of another injury, Rudy. He's, I don't know Cam Akers, from the Rams. He's kind of been left there. I don't know what they do. Something tells me they're probably going to hit the draft. That could be their first draft pick. Could be a running back. I don't know.
Not first. There's no way, man.
Well, are they drafting in the 20? Well, okay, they probably go running back probably in the third round, I guess, depending on who's there. But
I mean, you bring up J.K. Dobbins, and that's a possibility. But with those injuries, man, it's almost like you're going after Nick Chubb. I mean, you don't know what the hell you're getting.
Oh, speaking of Nick Chubb, he's still out there.
Yeah.
I would, man, it's crazy with that injury. That Nick is not on the team. I'll say this though, if Nick Chubb comes back and he's Nick Chubb, I think the Cowboys should take a look, Rudy, at Nick Chubb. Wouldn't hurt.
I mean, you can try. I mean, I think he's still under contract with the Browns, but he might be a casualty.
Yeah, I believe I thought he was going to. Maybe he hasn't been cut yet. I thought he was going to be. Kareem Hunt's out there, but Kareem is more of just a. I don't know, Rudy. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing, but
safe to say it's not the right thing.
Well, I'm not sure what to expect. I do think I would love to go to that game. Kirk Cousins will wear number 18 for the Atlanta.
I guess. I'm not going to buy me a Cousins jersey.
Come on, Rudy.
No.
Wait, do you have a Matt Ryan jersey?
I do not. Nor do I want one.
Really, Rudy?
I have a Michael Vick Virginia Tech jersey. I don't have his. I used to have his NFL jersey, but I think it got lost in the move. You want to know the only NFL Atlanta Falcon quarterback jersey that I own is Brett Favre. That's it.
Brett Favre? Wow.
Brett Favre is the only NFL Atlanta Falcon quarterback jersey. I have a Marino jersey, but there hasn't been any NFL quarterbacks from Atlanta that have really, made me want to go get a quarterback jersey.
What are you talking about? The man won an MVP.
I know, Matt Ryan, but I can't. Ever since the Super Bowl, I can't just go get one. I don't want one. I really don't want one.
Matt Ryan's right. You people in Atlanta are something else, man.
I don't live in Atlanta.
Okay, whatever. I'm putting you there. You people in Atlanta are something else. That guy took you to the Super Bowl, did a lot of good things there, and you act like he didn't do anything.
He did a lot. He also didn't do enough to get a Super Bowl win. So.
Hey, Kyle Shanahan was also on that damn coaching staff that screwed it up.
Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn. I mean, everybody was there. Screw that entire Atlanta year. All right, it was a waste. It was a waste. It should have been a Super Bowl. Should have beaten Tom.
Listen, don't feel bad. My team lost to Tom twice. Okay.
It doesn't matter. But your team didn't have a 28-3 lead.
You're right. We actually did not have
exactly.
That probably. You know what? To be up that much, I'll never forget that Super Bowl. My buddy, a friend of mine, Jose, he's a big Falcons fan. Big. And I never forget. I was trying to call him, and I know he was doing backflips. And that game changed. It was one of the crazier endings. Ready, a quick question before we leave.
Yeah, what's up?
When that game went to overtime, right, at the end? Or was it the last?
Yeah, it was overtime.
What was your thought going into that overtime? Do you remember what you were feeling?
We lost.
Did you know? You're like, damn, this shit's over.
I already knew it. I remember telling my wife and my family that was there, it's like, don't fucking, and these are my exact words, don't fucking talk to me. Don't come at me. Just leave me the fuck alone. I already knew. And then, when the Patriots scored, I wanted to be like one of those viral videos where you break the TV and you just go to town on the TV, just wail on it. I couldn't do that because, I'm not rich. I can't afford another TV. But I just remember being the most pissed off person. And I got text messages from people that said, oh, what happened? And I remember just simply replying, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, I was livid after that game. So yeah, I you're making me mad again. Stop talking about this, man. This is terrible.
Hey, to Tim Gonzalez question, Rudy, first running back taken.
Everybody picked like Corum. I don't think it's Corum.
I like Jonathan Brooks. I know he has an injury.
Yeah.
I like him coming, but it's probably going to be Blake just because the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's probably going to be Corum, right? I wouldn't see why anyone else would pick anyway. Even though I think there's another back better, though. Hey, he had the production. But watch out for Jalen Wright from Tennessee. I also like him as well. But the running back position in the draft is kind of
it's very mediocre. It's very, very mediocre. I think Jonathan Brooks is probably the best back in the NFL draft. I like Marshawn Lloyd at a USC. He's decent. One guy that I really, really like is Frank Gore Jr. You gotta keep him in your talks, man. Frank Gore Jr. from Southern Miss. I mean, obviously, it's not just about the name Frank Gore. He had some really good games for Southern Miss, and I think we're in the right system. Frank Gore Jr. could be a really big surprise in the NFL. So, first running back off the thing for me, it's Marshawn Lloyd, USC. I think he'll be the first running back. If it's not Blake Corum, it's Marshawn Lloyd. March Madness, not today, Tim. March Madness starts Thursday. Well, technically, tomorrow and Wednesday. They have the playing games, but we'll talk more about March Madness on Wednesday. Hopefully, Derek will be on that time, so we can get into some March Madness talk. But of course, Duke's not going to go any further than Carolina.
Hey, Rudy. By the way, the committee, they messed up. I don't know what they were smoking, dude.
With St. John's.
St. John's should have got in. Listen, Indiana State, I'm not too far from them. With that kid with the goggles, I keep forgetting his name. Indiana State should have made the tournament. This is ridiculous. Some of these teams did not make the tournament, but they let Virginia, who can't even score 20 points, get into the tournament. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. But, hey, I'm excited for the women's college basketball. Probably a little bit more, Rudy.
Yeah,
I love that. Those games are always good, and I can't wait to see probably LSU, South Carolina, Stanford. It's going to be a good time. I'm probably this year. I'm actually not going to bet any money. I think I'm going to
enjoy it.
Just enjoy for the enjoy. No money down. When you put money down, it starts to.
Yeah, it starts to hinder the games. Real quick before we go, man, you brought up a great point about women's college basketball and March Madness. What I like this year, you have a loaded women's March Madness this year. I mean, Paige Buchers, Cameron Brink, Juju Watkins. I mean, you've got a crap load of female ballers out there that's going to make March Madness just that much more fun on the ladies' side. So keep that in mind, man. It's gonna be fun. But we will talk about March Madness, Tim. Don't worry about that. We'll probably get to it on Wednesday. Give you some of our picks on who's gonna be the cutting down the nets. Honestly, I will say before we go, I did not have Carolina cutting down the nets at the beginning of the year, nor do I have them cutting down the nets at the end of the year. So
I think it's going to be a team that we may not talk about.
I picked Arizona at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick with
I like Houston. I like what they've done for the most part throughout the year. I mean,
I don't know if they get to the Final Four, but I don't think they win.
The conference tournaments really are always, you know how it is. It's this teams kind of rise up, and I mean, but the fact that Connecticut is in the same region as Auburn, they're also in the same region as the Big Ten champion, Illinois.
Yeah.
And then FAU, I don't know. I think they're ranked 8th. I thought, well,
hey, don't sleep on Florida Atlantic.
No. I actually think no. I think they should have been ranked lower. Like,
really?
Yeah,
I think they're ranked right where they need to be.
Yeah,
I think
number
so.
8. Okay, all right.
I think so.
No. I think they're a scary team. I'm just saying, like, Connecticut's bracket is pretty insane, pretty tough.
I think it's one of the tough. We're going to get into the bracket talk on Wednesday, but I think it's pretty tough on the Connecticut side. Honestly, I'm going to be dead honest. When I glanced over the brackets, I haven't really looked at them, but the West with Carolina and Arizona, that's kind of an easier bracket for me because I think it's going to either be Carolina or Arizona in there. I mean, that's who I really think it's going to be. So, of course, Carolina win. I think they got Michigan State's in that bracket. You can never count out Michigan State, but
don't forget Purdue. I think
Purdue's another one, but Purdue to me, everybody's on the Zach Edey train, and all. I'm like, I don't buy it.
As someone who lives in Indiana, they're really driving Purdue. What I saw last year when they lost to was it Franklin Dickinson in the first round.
Yeah,
I don't know if March Madness really has a way of just. Sometimes it doesn't matter what seed you are, man.
Just kicking the ball.
You get in the balls. It depends on matchups when you play. And Kansas messed up one of my parlays a few weeks ago, and I didn't forgive them. That team is annoying. But definitely I can see him first round exit, Tim. Definitely first round exit.
At least for your case, because you probably want them to go out in the first round after missing that parlay.
Annoying, man.
We will. We're going to go to end the stream right now for Coach Joe, Rudy Campos Jr. We'll talk more college basketball on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have Derek Irvin on here. I'm going to see if I can also get another college basketball guy into the show for Wednesday so we can talk all March Madness, get ready for the tournament. We'll see if we can run a tournament bracket style here. I'll see if I can set it up here for everybody as well. But tomorrow we'll see if we can get Jeff Garcia in here for some Spurs talk. The schedule is going to change a little bit, guys. So we may end up going from 3 to 4:30 possibly. We may change the times, but we'll keep everybody updated. Also, there might be a couple of weeks where we go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Kind of just work stuff has a lot of stuff, a lot of us busy. So we may have to adjust the schedule, but we'll keep everybody updated on what's going on. It felt good to be back. But again, for Coach Gio, for Derek Gervin, who should be back on Wednesday, it's Rudy Campos here. Until we sweep the league again, we'll see you later, Knuckleheads.